Hi, I'm Lisa Gale, and this is our latest edition of the Global Dream Circles podcast. I had the distinct honor and privilege of speaking with Monica Augustine and her husband, Kevin Shay-ninger, about dreams and the nature of reality and some really poignant and vulnerable dream sharing. Now, Monica has been a teacher of intuition, helping people connect with their inner teacher for some time. And Kevin, among other things, has started a meditation app called Raising Our Vibration and has his own podcast as well with a dear mutual friend, Stephen Altair. I think that something from this interview today will touch you, may even trigger some memories for you and make you more curious about what happens in your sleep and how that transfers into your waking life and how you can really work with your dreams for growth and awareness. So enjoy this talk, and of course, you'll find the links below to connect with Monica and Kevin. So good afternoon, Monica and Kevin, and welcome to Global Dream Circles podcast.
Thank you,
Hi,
Lisa.
Lisa.
Wonderful to be on.
Yeah, so great.
It's so great to see you on Zoom. We actually, Monica
Yes.
and I got to meet in person and then see each other on Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kevin.
Yeah.
And got to meet Kevin in person too, which is kind of new these days. Usually we meet in Zoom and then we get to meet in the flesh.
I know.
Exactly.
It's a bit reversed. Reverse this time.
It was a good time.
Mm.
So we're excited today to talk about dreams and whatever that word and that concept means to you both. So I thought we'd kick it off, and whoever wants to jump in first and just to ask yourselves what kind of influences that dreams and or dream work, if you've done any, have had on your lives to present.
Yeah, wonderful. Monica, do you want to start?
Sure, definitely. I'll start. Um, well, a couple dreams come to mind that really stand out that I think might be really fun to share, and your audience will probably like them a lot. I'm going to start with there's been all kinds, maybe I'd call them more, say, small, medium, or big influence. There's been all kinds across the board. Um, I'll start with some smaller, like, that really, I don't know what significance they had, except it was kind of prophetic. I'll just start with that is when I moved to Boulder, that was a long time ago, about maybe over 30 years ago. And I just remember I went rollerblading. Well, I had this dream. It was so significant, like just stood out in color, like technicolor, of a mom and her baby, and they had the same dress on, and she was in a stroller, and the bottle had fallen out of the baby's hands, so the mom was bending down to pick it up and wipe it off and give it back to the baby. And it was just like right around the corner at uh Boulder Creek Trail. I was rollerblading, and it was like I don't know the lady that I know of. This was over 30 years ago, and I was like, I just had a dream, like who I was living with at the time. I guess I just had a dream about this lady in this flower dress and the baby in the bottle. And then we both rollerbladed past the exact person. And we both looked at each other, and it was the exact mom and baby. And I don't know like what significance that had, but it was very fun and just a real easy, fun dream. That one just stands out. And then,
But it did give you, if I could
oh
just
yeah.
jump in there, it did give you a sense of like, oh, there's this connection between my dreams and life and knowing things. And And I think that was a long time ago before you really got into
Oh,
the intuitive work that you do now, but maybe it kind of planted some seeds of of oh, there's more going on here that I can tap into and know than I might have thought possible.
yeah, that's such a great point, Kev. And that's such a good point. Yeah, it was way before I just, was really mindfully aware of this work, the intuitive work I do now, and just it was kind of just like, oh wow. Um, and then, for me, I've noticed dreams are seem to be more prophetic, like they will happen the next day or week, and guidance, huge, beautiful guidance. Like when our son was in my tummy, he's 22 now. I had this dream that in this big blue beautiful bubble, this little baby sent his little pinky out and grabbed my pinky and said, "Mommy, don't let me go." And I smelt the baby, I saw the baby in my third eye, and I felt him grab my finger. And I just kind of like popped up out of bed and told Kev, "Baby, grab my finger in the bubble, and why would he say don't let me go?" And then the next night, I think it was the next night, or maybe 3 days later, same thing happened. And he said, "They're going to tell you to let me go, but please don't let me go. I can do it." And I was like, whoa, what is happening? This was again before I really was into this work. It's going on 9 years where I've had these things happen, Lisa, like my whole life, but I just didn't give them too much. I didn't really think about them too much until I started doing this work, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I've been doing this my whole life, just not really uh, thinking about it too much. But and then the baby, long story short, Lisa, but the baby Will came early. He was born at 24 weeks, 1 pound, 11 ounces. And they said specifically, like Will told us what they were going to say, and they said it verbatim. And then I said, oh my gosh. And then there were like 7 nurses in the delivery room and the minister, because they just assumed the baby wouldn't make it. And thankfully, I'd told Kevin all this because I was on some magnesium. So they thought it might have been the medicine talking, you know? And then I just popped up and I said, oh my gosh, I remember a dream the baby said, like, give me a chance. And then Kevin said, no, she really told me this. We need to give the baby a chance. And the nurses were crying, the minister was crying, and
And the
then,
doctor said, whereas
mhm,
previously the doctor was like, well, he might have 10% chance of surviving, but not healthy. He's not going to be a viable baby. And the doctor was like, after Monica said that, the doctor was like, okay, well, we'll see. And he was born that morning, and he came out kicking and screaming. I mean, and that shouldn't happen at 24 weeks. Uh, so yeah, not to
yeah,
yeah, just to
yeah,
add on to your
yeah.
story, it was quite profound.
It was really something. And he's like, well, if the surgeon was like, okay, we'll give him a chance, give him some oxygen. Oh, if he comes out with energy, we'll give him oxygen. And he was making sound, but then he had this throat that was part of the thing that he came early. He wasn't, I don't like swallowing the water enough. So it was building up in my tummy. So my cervix thought it was time. And that's why the baby came early. It was messages from the body. And and he said, oh, he's got energy. And so long, just like it was a long story, but made a little shorter. It was really profound. So we had 3 of those dreams. And then when he came out, he grabbed Kevin's finger just like that. It was so I know we went from like this somewhat seemingly smaller dream to this one, but it was profound, Lisa, and amazing. And when he came out, he smelled like I smelled him in the dream. And he looked like I saw him in my third eye. Just his eyes were still sealed shut because it was only 24 weeks. And he looked like a little bit like a little baby bird because, they have to build up their skin. And everyone was crying. And he was in the NICU for 4 months, but he's 22 now and has some eye things and some health things, but he's doing terrific. So I've gotten, like, my dreams for me that I remember probably the most have been like guidance dreams, like do this, or like um
This is
that's
going to
one that,
happen, or yeah.
yeah. And
Mhm.
I like to say them out loud, thankfully, like to Kev, because then it helps me also believe in them, because then when they happen, it's kind of like, oh, Kev and I both know about this. It's like helps me, but I tell you, that one was really powerful, you know.
Would you tell about your dream with Monica had a voice school for over 20 years, but she just got to the point where, and she's a super big giver. And so she had all these students, and it, she felt really responsible for them and was kind of just like, couldn't do it anymore. And anyway, she had a dream related to that, or a
Yeah,
series of dreams related to that.
yeah. There was I had been, you know, loving this school. I love the kids. Oh, just love them so much. And a lot of them have been there with me for years, and they usually will, a lot of them graduate from sometimes 6 years old to 18 till they go to college. And so I felt like I had no idea that I would be tired of it. Like I just didn't know I'd ever want to not do it anymore. And all of a sudden it just hit me. And the fear of disappointing people was huge for me. Probably one of my biggest fears, disappointing people. Not anymore, still little, but maybe not as much as then, especially little kids, you want to just take care of. And I had this 3 dreams in a row the week I was like, oh my goodness, I'm hitting a wall. I need to figure out how to let this go. And the first dream was a medicine man came. So I sold the school about 9 years ago now, or 10. So it was about that long ago. This medicine man came to me in my dream, and he had no teeth and hardly any hair. And he had a cup of tea, and he was so happy. I think that maybe meant to him, he didn't care about looks, or he didn't care about what's the word, just impressions or
Appearances.
appearances. Yeah, and he just had the cup of tea, and he said, "Hello, Monica," and he was so happy. But he said, "If you don't change your ways," meaning I think let go of teaching, "you're going to die." And he said it with the biggest smile. And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So I just I woke up, and I just share it with Kev. I love that he's so into it and listens to me and believes me. And then I said, "Oh no, I felt like I knew what it meant, but I couldn't take it. I just was like, no, it was my imagination. I'm gonna go back to sleep and just see how I can push through this." And the next night, this beautiful, amazing, beautiful African American woman, medicine woman, came to me and said the same thing. She wasn't as sweet. She was not as sweet. She was more like, "You're not listening." And she said the same thing, but she wasn't smiling. She was like matter of fact. And then I was starting to take notice, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to face my fears and figure something out. And then the next night, this big, in my dream, I didn't see the monster beast. And I feel like it was just a metaphor, but I was at this retreat with all the kids, and especially like out in nature, and we were just singing, having fun together. We were in this really big, beautiful house, and this beast came through the forest. We didn't see it, but it shook the floor, and it shook the trees, and it shook all the kids out of the house. But it didn't hurt them. They all landed safely. It was trying to tell me something. And I saw that all the kids were safe, But it was interesting because there was this one main girl who just loved all of them, but she, I would say, clung to me the most. I meant a lot to her, like, and she was hanging on the windowsill. She didn't want to go. And she fell, but she fell on a mattress, like it cushioned her when she fell out of the house. But the beast said, "You are not listening. If you don't listen," and it was like, "Pay attention," and it shook. And then I woke up. And then I called all the families one by one, and there were a lot of them, and I just explained, not the dreams, because they might have thought I was a little loopy, but I just told them I needed more time with my family, and I was kind of hitting a wall. But I also didn't want to tell them, Lisa, that I didn't want to teach anymore because I was afraid that would hurt their feelings. And they're little kids, so I didn't want them to take it personal. So I was trying to find a way to say, I just need more time with my family. I need a break. I'm tired. And so I told all the kids. It actually worked out well. These amazing, beautiful things happened in a sequence. Like, these teachers came in, I trained. One lady that owned a acting school for kids bought this business, and then there was payments for 4 years thanks to her. And it's going strong now, like even bigger. She wanted it big. And so that is, those are probably two of the most powerful dreams that I wanted to share with you today. And they saved me, really. Like, they saved Will, and they saved me, I think, and my mental health. And anyway, those were things I wanted to share with you.
Those are powerful. Can we take just a few minutes and reflect?
Oh yeah, for sure.
How's it for you right now after the sharing?
Oh, I feel good. I don't feel out of body or anything like that. I feel good about it. Yeah. Yeah. How are you doing after the sharing?
uh,
Was that a lot to take in?
it's so sacred. Just so if we could reflect on some teaching points for people.
Yeah.
First of all, I love that your son's name is Will, and what a will he had to live.
Yes.
But
Lisa, that Kevin named Will. Had a At one of our restaurants, he just said his name will be Will, kind of like a prophecy, or I mean, uh, was it? No, not a, yeah, maybe prophetically, but. And I was like, okay, Kev, I'm sure we're gonna have a girl, so you can have Will.
No contest. Um,
Yeah.
so the first dream that you shared, you mentioned this understanding unfolding for you of, wow, what happens in my sleep, and what happens in my waking life. Maybe the distinguishing lines were a little blurred. Um, and maybe there was a sameness in the sleep state and the experience of waking state. And then the second dream, my gosh, really was. It was a kind of a life and death dream also, of this soul that wanted to live here, really wanted to be here, and just, came to the parents who would listen.
Wow. Yeah, it is something.
And allow. And then the last one that you just shared, really informing your own health and well-being, as well as your path. Because I would imagine the work that you do in the world has evolved and changed and taken on new life forms. And
Yeah, that's so true what you just said. I didn't realize it, but I was it felt like my heart and soul, maybe emotional maturity, was wanting to move out of maybe that level of caretaking, maybe, or feeling responsible, I think. Um, yeah, and and then it did feel like it evolved. Yeah. Hmm.
And this came to mind too in your sharing, because the similarities are just pretty poignant, because I do a lot of work in schools with children. And I
Mm.
had a very similar dream perhaps a year ago. But I was just reflecting on it because the child who showed up in my dream, I still know her. I see her on a regular basis. And I won't say her name, but her name does mean abundant life. And similarly, she was hanging on to a windowsill, um, and looked like she could fall and be harmed, if not, killed by the fall. And the messaging still comes through. So I'm super curious now that dream came to mind for me just yesterday. The child's birthday is tomorrow. And so
Wow.
here we are, and you're reflecting a very similar vision in your own dream. So I don't know what all of that means for me, but I will sure continue to be with it.
Mm.
Oh,
See
that's
how the
really interesting. Yeah. Mm.
Certainly points to the connectedness of the one consciousness that we are, right? And how we mirror and reflect back to each other.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Kevin. Lisa, too, like how we're here today and how I chose that dream and how you had that same window. Man, that's pretty interesting. Right?
And like you, I remember at the time reflecting on, for me, it came as a warning because I'd also had a series of dreams. Um, and it came as a warning about protecting fall zones. It was just very practical. There
Mhm.
was some fall zones that needed to be upgraded on the play area near the play structures. Um, Now that it's coming back, though, Monica, I just have to wonder what else is unfolding. So
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
report back if if anything
yeah,
comes through.
yeah, we definitely want to know. Yeah.
So Kevin, how about you? Jump in. What, I mean,
Yeah,
if you want to share anything about what
sure.
Monica has shared, or just your own dream, sleep, or
Well, I
waking
do think one
experience.
thing is that it's just about Monica's is it is really has been helpful to have somebody to share the dreams with, right? Because then they can, even talking them out, they gain more meaning and significance in sharing. And so I think, it's easy with your own mind and your own dreams to think, perhaps, oh, that's just, my imagination, or just that something I ate, or, whatever.
Right.
So anyway, I think that over the years, and Monica she has dreams like this, frequently. And so I think having somebody to share dreams with, probably like you do in dream circles, is a powerful thing. And then for me, I think, as I was reflecting on what's been most significant to me in my dreams, is that they seem to be a real window into my subconscious, into what I may not be aware of in my waking life, so to speak, but that is affecting my waking consciousness. So, for example, I've had a couple different, or had a couple different recurring dreams almost my whole life. And the first one was about not being prepared. And so I played hockey and golf when I was younger. And in this recurring dream, I would either be getting ready for a hockey game or getting ready to play golf, and I wouldn't have what I needed. Like I would have forgotten to sharpen my skates, or I didn't have my stick, or just, and it would always be right up to the game time. And then I would go into a second kind of dream out of that where I would get lost. So it was not being prepared, not having what I needed, and then getting lost. Like on my way to try to find my stick, then I would find myself in a whole nother environment and I'd be completely lost and I couldn't even find my way to back to the locker room or to the rink. And so I've had these recurring dreams of I'm not prepared, or I'd go into class and discover there was a test that day and I didn't know there was a test and I was completely unprepared. And then they almost always lead into an extension of the dream, and that goes into a different environment where I'm trying to get somewhere and I think I know where I'm going. And then all of a sudden I can't find, like I'm going on an airplane trip and I can't find the gate. And then I can't find my ticket. So these unprepared and then lost, those are kind of two themes running through, good part of my life. And then I've had, in the most recent years, dreams that felt like that was healed. So I'd have dreams where not only did I make it into the game and have all my stuff, but I was just scoring goals left and right. And or going to play golf. And whereas before I'd find, oh, I don't have my golf balls and now I can't find my way to the first tee. It was right there, but now I can't find it. And then I'd find that I'd just shoot an amazing score and these shots would be miraculous shots. And so, and then, so that was on the prepared side, and then the kind of success side of being prepared. And then I had a really interesting dream where, so in these lost dreams, I'd always have an idea where I was going, but then all of a sudden I didn't recognize anything and I was just completely lost. And in this dream, I was actually with a group and I was supposed to be guiding them somewhere. And in this dream, and this was the last of these kind of dreams, I was with the group and I was guiding the group and I was like, oh, we need to go over there. And it was like an intricate maze, but I knew exactly how to get through the maze. And at the end of the maze was this treasure. And I found the treasure, and the treasure was for everyone. And ever since and now I only have these dreams where I'm playing hockey and scoring goals, and I don't have any more of these dreams of being unprepared and getting lost. So I just feel like it was some inner psychological healing that was shown to me in how the dreams played out.
Sure. Now, did you, from the times then you said you were growing up and you were having these dreams of unprepared, lost, was there some intentional psychological work or development that you did that may have supported the evolution of the dreams? Was it something that just played out in your dream state? Or I guess what I'm looking for is, what level of conscious collaboration were you in with this information and dialogue you had going in your sleep?
Yeah, well, starting out really young, I definitely had the feeling of never having a group that I fit in with and never understanding the rules of how things worked in social situations or group or school. And then I kind of rebelled against all that and just kind of did my own thing, because I didn't feel like I fit into any here. Didn't fit in to here. So and then I would have I had a tremendous fear of public speaking, of expressing myself like here. And that came from really early in my life. I was chosen as, well, I was even earlier than that. I was in a play and rehearsing in a play. And I guess I did something where I didn't understand what was happening, and what everybody was laughing at me. And then fast forward to our 6th grade graduation, I was chosen as the class speaker. I don't know why, because I definitely didn't fit into the class. But chosen as the class speaker, and I was just terrified of stepping up onto stage and doing that. And it went fine, but I could see some kids who were kind of snickering and laughing, and it just kind of took me back, I think, to the earlier time. And it just gave me this idea, oh, that's just not for you. You should never do that again. So how did I work on those things in my life? Well, one thing is I decided that I wanted to express this work that was inside me, and I wanted to figure out how to do this in a way that I could do it and not be petrified. And so I learned to be uber prepared, right? So rather than in my dreams, I didn't have what I needed. For those type of, whenever I was doing teaching or anything, I just had everything I needed plus, and really tried to control the environment and have everything be just so. And then that gave me enough confidence to share what I had to share. And so I did that for a while, just that uber preparedness. And then I found over time, though, that I just started getting comfortable, and it just started becoming natural to just express what was important to me. And so I kind of let go of all that over preparing, and now these days I find that I just feel like, oh, well, it's just going to flow fine. I feel like, well, I am prepared just for whatever happens. I have enough knowledge. I've studied all the things that I teach. I've studied for over 40 years. So I'm just like, Kevin, you know this stuff. You practice it for hours every day. You are prepared. You don't have to do this, uber preparing anymore. You can just show up and allow it to flow, and kind of like we're doing today.
Yeah. So it was like, I was on reflecting. How is it for you sharing that, first of all, now that you've shared all of that
Oh,
information?
well, I really enjoy it now. So
I can tell the
it's
joy
just
when you
pure
said
enjoyment now to just
that.
share my experience and let it be what it is. And yeah.
It's such a reminder that sometimes those recurring dreams that we have, especially from such a young age, actually point the path to destiny, even, to the work that will bring us the most joy in the world. And it starts to emerge in such a young age in the dreams. Like, we know it, something in the soul just knows it, but the psyche or whatever is just in rebellion against it, or
Mm-hmm.
fear and terror. So you went from fear to active participation in confronting the fear
Mm-hmm.
and preparing.
Right.
So there was definitely choice involved in that, and there was intentionality, and a determination.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that place of being uber prepared from all of that work that you'd done, you were able to sort of, it sounds like, relax and let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then even from relaxing and letting go, you really just moved into this state of trust and flow
Yeah.
and joy.
Yeah. Enjoy. And it is. And I do find it just really enjoyable to share what's important to me and to listen to others and hear what's important to others. And yeah, it feels easeful these days. I'm almost 62. So, I've had a lot of years for this process to happen. And those recurring dreams were for decades. So, and I would always, and I would reflect upon them. So I did reflect on those dreams, and just, and it took me a while to, well, first I got the idea of, oh, well, just get yourself prepared, right? Well, if you're afraid of not being prepared, just do that. And then I had this idea, but the dreams were still there. And more than even consciously saying, oh, here's what they're about, I think I do this a lot. I think I just kind of sit with them and just let them work on me. Like, not even that I am saying, oh, I know what this dream means and here's what I'm going to do about it. I'm more just kind of, in that state when you're waking up out of a dream, and just kind of hang out there and just kind of feel it and sit with it. And not that it even has to come all the way fully conscious in the sense of having a definition, and having a clear storyline and a clear path, but just it's like my subconscious working itself out, and I'm just being with that and allowing it to happen. And so Monica has these dreams that are, there was just super clarity in her dreams in terms of, oh, here's what I need to do. And occasionally I'll have that, but a lot of times I'll just find I just kind of sit with the feeling of the dream and just allow it to work on me.
I love that. Just allow it to work on you like there's nothing to do here. Because the question that arose for me in listening is maybe a really hard question, but there's some point at which, whether it be a recurring dream or just, let's say, a recurring fear, when we think of, like, everyone has like that worst possible fear, and how we relate to it will determine if we'll be overrun by it and let it control our lives, or sometimes we'll choose to face it, and maybe we want to overcome it, but sometimes we're just tired of running from it. And so we'll face it and just sit with it. I wonder what it is. This is a hard question because I don't know how I could answer it either, but what is it that makes people say, I'm going to face this fear? And then what is it that keeps people from facing the fears?
Yeah. Well, I'll just respond a little from my own experience, is that the recurring nature of this just like kept knocking on my door. It's just like, just pay attention. You're not paying attention. Pay attention. It just kind of, and it was, like I said, decades. So it just was, I knew there was something there that I needed to pay attention to. And then when I said, well, what's happening in these dreams? It is that I'm unprepared and I get lost. So I just started taking action to be prepared and know my way. And then, that was kind of I think there's phases of life too. Like, I feel like in this phase of my life now, in my, 50s and 60s, I kind of have a different relationship to everything. that happens. Whereas earlier in my life, everything was about action, right? What action, intention, making something happen. And in this phase of my life, it's more about being and following the flow. And not knowing where I'm going is perfectly fine. And so maybe there's phases of life where you work with things differently, or, by working things out, then you arrive at a different phase in relation to the same content.
That's beautiful. Thanks for attempting to tackle such an impossible question. Monica, did you want to add anything to that or your thoughts?
I was just listening to what Kev was saying, so that was beautiful. While you guys were talking, the one thought that just kept coming to me isn't really answering the question, Lisa, but I want to try to. But it was you know, is this the dream, or was the dream the dream? That's what kept coming to me as you guys were just talking, is like, am I dreaming now? Like, is this a dream?
Mm-hmm.
And then it just gave me kind of a different feeling and perspective, like, or was my dream a dream? My dream world, like, are they the same, or are they, I don't, that just, while you guys were chatting, that's what was floating through my brain. Like,
Mm-hmm.
was Kevin's dream his dream, or was he living that for real? Or like, for real, I know there's a lot to that, but that's what was coming through. Yeah, I'd love to see what you guys think about that. And then I'll try to answer your question, Lisa. You said what makes people face their fears? Is that what you said? And then not?
Yeah.
I think for me personally, I've always had this feeling of I want to face my fears, because I feel like if I don't, in another lifetime, I'm going to have to do it. And I don't like, I want to do it now, like that. I want to face the fear, because I feel like life, to me, the way I interpret it is life gives us opportunities to kind of go through a new gate of freedom. And I feel like if I can walk through each gate, that's like more freedom and inner freedom. And inner freedom to me is for me, but also it feels like it's for the collective. And it also feels like it will help me have more peace and interactions with others, and just have a more like loving way of being. So that really motivates me. I really always want to improve that, and so anytime I'm really afraid to do something, I, I usually figure out how to do it and just be like, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? Right. So that's one for motivating to do it, and to do it for me, I guess, that I can think of right now. And not doing it, I don't know. I don't know why. I guess it would just be um I don't really know the answer to that.
That's a hard question. It's a
That's
very hard question.
yeah. That's a good
I think
question.
I think so too. I resonated with you said about every time you face it. I know you didn't say the word compassion, but that's what it felt like when you talked about the way it allows you to be with others as well, having that compassion with yourself in the process of facing the fear. And like you, I wonder too, if I can deal with it energetically, will it, when it's still in this idea state, then maybe I won't live it in a 3D experiential way.
Hmm.
Yeah, which is a little bit of a motivation, which is maybe in some ways using fear to encourage me to face fear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings us to this idea, and I know we're coming up to the top of the time that we have here together, is just the nature of reality that you spoke to there, Monica, where you said, like, is this the dream, or were the stories we shared dreams? Is there a distinguishing, is there something really different about those? Which feels like it's kind of plucking the cord on my mandolin right now too. Just me too, in that place of, well, what really is the nature of a dream or reality? So I'll just toss that into the mix if you have any final thoughts about that,
Yeah.
either of you.
Yeah. Well, that could certainly be a big discussion. But one thing that, so when I was in graduate school, I studied phenomenology, which is study of the nature of conscious experience. And that's where I think I came upon this framework of, well, experience is experience. It doesn't, waking, dreaming, it's all constructed in the same way. It's the line between what we call what's real and what's not real is all constructed in the mind, in consciousness. And by us focusing on certain details and seeing them within a meaning context that we bring to the experience. So I think I learned probably back then that even these definitions, they're just a story. And even our explanations, they're a story. And it's all a story. And stories are constructed from all kinds of different strands, from our life, from our culture, from interactions with each other. And it's all just coming together to arise into the experience we're having now. And whether we call the experience waking or dreaming, it's all just an arising within consciousness of moments of experience. And they all have that same quality of everything coming together to create this now moment of experience and flow to the next moment of experience.
I don't know if you caught that, but one of us got a reminder right as you said that. It went ding ding. Like a punctuation point.
Nice.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, I love that, Kev. And what comes to mind when you say that, it actually feels like it takes a lot of pressure off of life for me when Kev says that. So I can tend to feel a good amount of pressure from inside, But when you say that, it helps me realize, just kind of helps me drop into a little more like relax, like, oh, it's all experiences, and language just gives us a way to communicate it, but it's never the whole. So, like, I don't know, for some reason that just helped me relax more.
Allow it to flow.
It painted a picture for me of how I often think of dream work and the dream weave as being these fabrics. And it's like sometimes it feels like we have our fingers on the same fabric. Like if you were to run your hand across this tapestry, Monica, when you were sharing your dream experiences, and even there just now, Kevin, this morning, I was looking up this concept of phenomenology to explain it to some teachers who were struggling with this science indicator. What does this mean? And how do I know if my kids get it?
Yeah,
so I love that definition that you just gave, because that'll just really blow their minds. And then I also think how it's like this living sentient being, this dream weave, this fabric that's ever changing in texture and shape and color and form and imagery, and that it's just alive and breathing with us all somehow.
Yeah. And we try to, sometimes a part of us gets a little afraid of what's happening and maybe tries to stop the flow and define it and say, here's what it is, right? And that's just a story we're telling. And, that addresses maybe a fear that we have, and that's all valid and legitimate. But what happens if we just allow the moments of experience to come through and are present with them and allow things to flow? Maybe that's just my 62-year-old point of life where I'm allowing things to just be and flow, but it feels good that way to me.
Mm. Oh, that brings up a spontaneous question then. If your 62-year-old, very much wiser self had a piece of advice to offer the younger self who is having those recurring dreams that have difficult emotional content, what might that be?
First of all, it's okay. Everything's okay. And maybe last of all, that too. It's okay. Everything's okay. It's all good. Let it be. Allow it to flow. It's all good.
That's great. Thank you. Well, this has been such a treasure trove, just like your more recent dreams have led you to, Kevin. I felt like we kind of got to dig around that treasure today and kind of explore together all the little sparkling jewels. What rich conversation. Thank you both so much for sharing all of that and for just helping people. I don't know who will get to hear this and who it will help, but I just know that it will. And it's vulnerable sharing those things when we share our dreams too, because it's not anything that we think we have control over, what comes up in our sleep state. So thank you so much. And we'll share links to your work, Raising Our Vibration. And Monica does really beautiful, beautiful work helping people connect with their intuitive voice within. And so thank you both so much for today.
Thank you, Lisa. It's such a joy to be with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lisa. I feel as we're doing this, I don't know, I just feel it's just such perfect timing somehow for me, maybe for each of us, but I could just feel that and also feel uh, just this inspiration now to like just be with, aware of my dreams more again, just from doing this together and in understanding waking, sleeping, is it the same? Just I don't know, it's really just been such a gift. And I would have, that didn't enter my mind until we had this conversation. I was like, oh, somehow this was just perfect today. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you both. I love your energy. And I have thought this and I want to say it to you both. I love that your work is called Raising Our Vibration, because I felt being with you in person that you are the embodiment of that. I could feel the embodiment of, if we just want to call it work, all the work that you have done personally and together. I just feel this commitment to being in a vibration of love and peace and sharing in that space with others. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Aw, thank you, Lisa. That's so nice to say.
And thank you for the work you're doing and supporting people to be in deeper touch with themselves through dreams and through all the other work you do with kids as well. It's wonderful. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You've so inspired me today, Lisa.
It's so fun. This is fun. Well, if this is work, I'll take more of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing what unfolds next.
Likewise. Take care.
Okay, y'all
Lots
too.
of love.
Lots of love to you too. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye.